You should know what we're talking about this week because we're talking about the energy center of the intuition. If you're wondering what are the best essential oils that you can use for your third eye chakra, well, we are here with the Sixth Sense series of Fellowship in Essential Oils. My name is Adam. I'm joined by Liz. How are you today, Liz?
I'm excited about this one because I know you picked several oils that I know very little about. So I'm intrigued to pick your brains about it.
And you're talking about one of my favorites that I, to be honest with, haven't spoken much about as well. So I think this is going to be a bit of an unveiling kind of episode today. But let's talk a little bit about the third eye chakra. First of all, one key thing, it's sometimes also known as the brow chakra as well. It resonates with the color indigo. Now, people seem to get a little bit confused with the color indigo, but really, when we're talking about the throat chakra, it's more that sky blue color. When we're moving up to indigo, we're getting into that almost dark blue, kind of like, as you can see, me and Liz like to wear the right color each week. So kind of more dark blue colors. So if we're talking crystals for a second, people often would put like lapis lazuli on the throat chakra. No, it's a third eye chakra one. It works really well because it's that darker blue. This is more angelite or blue lace agate or something like that as well. But I also notice a lot when people talk about the third eye chakra, they talk about it's the intuition center. And I'd like to expand that a little bit more. It is to do with the intuition, but I also find that it works really well with the intellect. And the key word that I use for the third eye chakra is our understanding. How do we use our intuition and our intellect to work out how the world's working? Often it's linked to the pituitary gland, which takes information in from all the different senses and then dictates to the body how it needs to react. So the third eye chakra on an energetic level does the same. It gathers information, works out what to do, and then it uses the other energy centers, like the throat chakra, to start making things happen as well. What are some important aspects for you in the third eye chakra, Liz?
Well, for me, I have come to believe that the third eye chakra and the brow chakra may not be the same thing.
There can be
Because
some conversation about that, can't there?
yeah, and I'm going to do a separate video so people can come and watch me talk about this, because in this video we're going to be talking about essential oils for the third eye, so therefore things that are intuitive. But the brow chakra rules things that are logical, and so it's almost like one's right brained, one's left brained. And so to be able to so if we're talking about opening the brow chakra, does that mean we're making ourselves more logical, or are we making ourselves more intuitive? Because the energy seems to be completely opposite to me. So I have kind of decided that when I'm working therapeutically, I refer to them differently, and I check the balance of them differently, and I check where they're positioned differently. So that, to me, they're very different, two different things. Now, that's not to say that they actually are two different things, but it helps me to understand and direct what healing I want to happen. Because I think in this day and age, a lot of people are very much into, I have to grow my intuition, I have to grow my intuition, I have to grow my intuition, and they become less and less grounded, and their decisions become less and less rational. So how can we work them together effectively to balance them? I think it needs two different forms of attack. And so for me, the best oil to be able to really move into that energy of opening the third eye, to be able to tap into the hidden landscape of what is more than what we can see, is violet leaf. In fact, there used to be a violet resinoid, and that was even better, but I can't get that anywhere now. But violet leaf makes you so calm. It's so gentle. It's almost as if you lose your physical form. And it really takes the brain, I think, can't see physical, like scientific evidence to match this, because I don't think anybody's thought to test it. But I would have thought that you would see that it takes the brain right down into a theta state, which is what you get when you are meditating. It's so gentle, it's so quiet, and it's so removed from this earthly realm. It's absolutely beautiful.
Now, if I remember rightly, violet leaf has a bit of a connection to death as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. There is some myths about it, but I can't remember exactly. But certainly, if you look at sort of Victorian times, mourning brooches are quite often little violets to say, you know, the gentlest. I think it's probably for children. It's mourning for children.
So do you think then violet leaf could be good for that intuition and kind of connecting with other realms and a bit of mediumship as well?
Yeah, yes. And so I am not a medium. I do sometimes see ghosts, but I can't like tap in to speak to spirits that way. Not that I would want to, it would scare the pants off me. So I can't speak to that. But in terms of if I really want to switch out of this realm and really connect with the outside realms and tune into clairvoyance, then I would use violet leaf. And if people read my books, they'll know that one of the things I am best at is almost like time travel, of being able to go right back into the past and walk around a place as if I was there at the time. And I can often check maps and be able to, like archaeological maps, and say, okay, that's exactly what I saw. And violet leaf is one of the things that I use to be able to do that. Melissa is another. But violet leaf at sleep time is just beautiful. So, but violets generally are about sleep and dreams. If you look at sort of Victorian medicine, you'll see violet syrups recommended for sleep time. And it's this gentle state that really cuts off the conscious mind and speaks to a much older part of you. We can maybe say past lives. I don't know whether that would be true, but certainly the child part of you that looks out with wonder and go, and before you've been told these things probably don't work, these things probably don't exist. So things like flower fairies, for example, all of those are violet energy.
I must admit, I think when we were talking about violet leaf, you talked about violet flavored chocolate just before my trip to come and visit you in the UK, and I had my eyes peeled. And did you end up getting the violet chocolate? You did, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
You did. It was absolutely delightful, but I cannot find it for the life of me anywhere else. If anyone wants to send me a gift to Australia, please send me violet chocolate because we don't get it here, and I absolutely love it. It's divine. But I do really also appreciate the absolute or the essential oil and how it is so magical. I would say because I haven't had that much experience with violet leaf, I would tend to lean towards Star Anise. Now, I find this to be an absolutely magical essential oil and probably my favorite of my entire collection for enhancing the intuition and the third eye chakra in that way. First of all, the fruit or the seed that we actually get the essential oil from is in a star shape. That's pretty magical in itself. But there's something about this kind of anise or licorice aroma that for me really helps to both open our receptivity to our intuition, but also kind of deal and understand what's coming through. You know, when we think about any of the anise oils, so that is star anise, that is fennel, that is allspice, it's anise myrtle here in Australia. They're all very digestive oils. And I find this is kind of a bit of a contradiction, but the digestive oils in the anise flavored ones or scented ones really help us to digest life. So I find if you are wanting with your intuition, maybe you've been working on it, maybe you've been doing courses or working with lucid dreaming, the anise, star anise is great for opening up the intuition, but also allowing you to digest and understand what on earth did that dream mean? What did that message mean? Why does this keep happening? I find it really powerful for this. Now, of course, using the essential oil, anointing it there or diffusing it is absolutely wonderful, or even misting it, I find for that more subtle energy is beautiful. But you can also make a pendulum out of one. And when I run classes a lot of the time, if everyone needs a pendulum or we're doing some chakra testing, we all get some thread or some cotton. We tie a star anise on the end. Not only does it smell absolutely divine, but it's a nice weight that can allow you to test your chakras and do a whole bunch of other spiritual activities as well. So Star Anise, mwah, my favorite for the third eye chakra.
I would never have thought of that one in a million years. It's really fascinating what you say about the fennel scent or the anise scent, because I do think that fennel is really good at being able just to tap into what's going on outside. And tarragon as well. Tarragon has thujonin, which is CB1 receptor, which is definitely sort of tends to be in the endocannabinoid system. It's THC. What I'm trying to say, psychoactive. It can be the psychoactive receptor. So I think that's really interesting. I'm surprised you can douse with a star anise. It doesn't feel strong, heavy enough to me. So I'm going to have a go with that. So thank you for sharing that. I will have a go and see all of those aspects. Really interesting.
So what's another one of your oils that you love for the third eye chakra?
Lavender.
Okay.
I think I love lavender. I think it's a lot to do with the color, I think. But I just think it really takes you into a dreamy state. I think that we should not overlook how important sleep is in the third eye chakra relationship. And I just think that it's the one we have the most proof of being able to move our mind into a quietened state. And so therefore it's the closest we have to a proof of being able to go into a meditative state. So I think that it should never be overlooked for this kind of work. I think when you're doing intuitive work, one of the most important things that you need to be able to develop is a ritual to be able to get into the space where you become open, and also importantly then you close down and you come out of it so that you are moving in and out of the sacred space and the different dimensions. And I think one of those important aspects of a ritual is that we go through a purification stage where we say, this is no longer my earthly state. I no longer want these thoughts about making the tea and who's going to do the ironing. And your brain goes into a quietened state. And as you go into a theta state, then things start to come through. And so using lavender to just get calm, just get quiet, I think is a really vital part of the process of developing your intuition, and almost like doing it as a vocation. There's lots of people who are able to tap into things clairvoyantly, but they're not doing very hygienically. They're walking around with everything wide open. They're attracting all of the bad stuff. Anybody who's sitting here and saying, oh, but there's no bad stuff out there, mark my words, there's some really bad stuff. It's really important to be able to say, I am going into that place and I'm coming out of that place now, and I'm leaving everything else there, and I'm going to operate in ordinary reality. And to do that, you need to start making a system, a process that goes, this is what I do to go into that space. I am in that space. This is what I achieve. I document it. I come out of that space carefully. I walk back the same way. I tell everything else, you can stay there. This is me in this reality. And keep safe. And not just keep safe for yourself, but for everybody else around you, because it's really easy to pick up really horrible negative energies while you're out there and to bring them back in a way that can really pollute everything that's going on in your life. So rituals to be able to do that are really important. And I think that space of going into a calm space, a quiet space, a place where I dream is brilliant. And so lavender, this is what it's fantastic at.
Lavender's got such a reputation for being an sleep oil, for helping you get a good night's sleep. Do you think that might scare some people away from using lavender in their waking moments and during the day? And should they be worried about using it during the day?
No, not at all. It's there's so much science. We're going to go off a pat now, but there's so much science about how good it is for social anxiety, how good it is for pain. You know, this is definitely an oil that you should be using all day, every day, in my opinion. You know, for any kind of situation where you think, I don't quite feel right now, lavender. To really just calm things down, soothe things down. It's such an important oil. So yeah, please don't be frightened of using it. I would say it's probably the most important oil in aromatherapy.
Oh, very much so, for sure.
I'm Elizabeth Ashley, UK Director for the National Association of Holistic Aromatherapy and founder of the Aromatic Mystery School, where essential oils meet the deeper, more mystical side of healing. Here you'll explore the spiritual, emotional and energetic dimensions of plants and learn how to weave them into your own rituals and well-being practices. If you're ready to work in a way that nourishes both your soul and your senses, join us at the Aromatic Mystery School. The link's right below.
Now, another one of my favorite oils for the third eye chakra is sandalwood. Now, what I love about sandalwood is I find the third eye chakra, each of the chakras, they're great to look at individually, but they're also great to look at how they relate to the energy centers next to them. So when we think of the third eye chakra, obviously we have the crown above it, and the crown is our connection to spirituality, whatever and however we may define that, and each individual does that differently. So we connect to our spirituality through our crown chakra, and then that comes into the third eye chakra. The third eye chakra works out, what does this all mean, and what am I meant to do, and how do I get these divine inspirations and apply them to my physical 3D reality now and into real life? And then we bring it down to the throat chakra and we actually start to plant those seeds of desire. So what I love about sandalwood is we see it just purely in the aroma to start off with. It's a wood oil, it's a heartwood oil, so it's very grounding. But you don't just smell sandalwood. It's very different to cedarwood. Cedarwood has this real strength and earthliness to it, and I spoke about that in the base chakra episode. But sandalwood has some kind of spiritual essence to it as well. And, you know, Nag Champa, which is probably the best known incense brand or aroma or whatever you call it in the world, one of its key ingredients is sandalwood. So it is about how do we bring down that heavenly into the practical. The other thing to remember when you look at sandalwood trees, I've been very blessed in my life to travel to Hawaii to be part of a reforestation project where we were replanting Iliahi, Hawaiian sandalwood there. I've also been involved in seeing how they harvest and how they distill Indian sandalwood here in Australia, in the top of Australia, because unfortunately Indian sandalwood sourced from India, there are some issues with black markets and things like that. And of course, Australia has its own sandalwoods as well, which I've been involved in. And what I love to learn about, I love how the tree works. It's a parasitic tree. It can't grow by itself. If you had a sandalwood by itself, it won't flourish. It must reach its root system out. It must connect to other trees, and it will actually drain the nitrogen and the sulfur and different things out of the soil that their system can get out of the roots, and it's unable to do so. So sandalwood, not to kind of make it sound like a negative tree, but is really good at helping us to reach out and draw what we need to know. And in this world where we are overexposed to information, I find sandalwood grounds us, yet allows us to reach out for what are going to be beneficial source of information, to bring that in, to allow our intuition and that intellect that I work with in the third eye chakra to operate really, really powerfully. Plus, it's a great skincare oil. So, mixing a drop with your moisturizer at night, rubbing that all over the face and down onto the chest, because as I learned recently, the face ends at the tits, the lady told me. But really focusing it on that third eye chakra is just a really beautiful thing you can do at night. And that's going to nourish your skin, but it's going to work with your third eye chakra as you get ready to get into bed and go into that dreaming state.
The nicer way of saying that is décolletage. Did she not teach you the word décolletage? This here is your décolletage. Yeah, I agree completely about sandalwood. I have to say, it's not an oil that I resonate with tremendously. But yeah, any book you ever read will tell you that this is a meditation oil. So yeah, I'm going to absolutely agree with that. Oh God, the cough.
Let me go off on a quick tangent. It's actually, sandalwood is one of my top 3 oils. So my top 3 are sandalwood, rose, and then spruce and fir are kind of sitting there together on third of my overall favourites. What are your favourite 3?
Geranium, jasmine, monarda.
Awesome. Just a last little segue there. Right. Now, I'm really intrigued. I do know your third choice for the third eye chakra. It seems very bright and happy to me, and I would probably place it down near the solar plexus area. But you're saying this is a great third eye chakra oil. Explain.
Osmanthus.
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's so good for dreams. Everything. So I guess I'm being a bit greedy, really, because everybody has their own ways of bringing through intuition. My way is to dream it. And so I can sit for ages with an essential oil and I will hear bits and pieces, but it will only be after I've dreamt. Don't really remember dreams that well, but in the waking, the space between waking and sleeping, everything comes down for me. So if I'm writing a book, it gets written at 5 o'clock in the morning all the time that way. And Osmanthus is just almost like a chrysanthemum of tentacles that just brings in loads and loads and loads of stuff. What I think is interesting is I've kind of now made almost like a structure, a framework of oils that I use for different ways of dreaming. So I try to stay away from Melissa as much as I can, because I know that I'll just be so far into the beehive and they'll drag me back into that way of thinking again. And that's not what I'm doing at the moment. But Melissa is tremendously good at helping you to walk between time. Osmanthus is like opens your third eye to go, look at the sky, look at the moon, look at the stars, look at the constellations, see the Milky Way, see the universe. Outside there is more universes, so many things. What would you like first? And it kind of rains down loads and loads and loads of stuff for me. And then I will have so much information on a piece of paper and I'm like, oh my God, how do I make anything of that? And I'll say, right, it's almost like pick a card, any card. All right, I'm going to focus on that. I want to know about that. And I have a certain ritual that I do in my head. But to do that, I use violet leaf. And I say, right, okay, specifically, I want you to give me the information pertaining to that. And it's not foolproof. It's certainly not the next morning you wake up and you're like, oh, I've got that answer. Sometimes it can take months and months and months of trying to go, oh, I just don't understand. I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. And writing and writing and writing, and many, many, many notebooks, the most of which don't make sense. And half of them are upside down because I've written them in the half dark. But yeah, Osmanthus is all about shower me with everything. Shower me with everything. And sometimes that's just gorgeous because I need to have time off from that book from that thought and just bring me beautiful things. And you do have the most gorgeous, vibrant, bright dreams with Osmanthus. So yeah, I think in terms of if you're somebody who goes, right, I feel like I have intuition, but I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing with it. Osmanthus is a really good way of going, right, so give me loads of topics, give me loads, and then get your violet leaf and go, right, I was interested in that, I'm going to chase that thread.
Really interesting. One of the things I love doing with essential oils is popping them on the soles of my feet when I go to bed at night. And I don't think I've really used Osmanthus on my feet much. I tend to use it more as sometimes a morning fragrance or just on my skin, but I'll have to try that. But, another third eye chakra oil that I do really love, which if I can squeeze in a spare one today, juniper berry. When I pop that on my feet, I have really vivid dreams. It has helped young children and adults also with night terrors. Plus, it also works with empaths that want to kind of shut down their empathy. And I don't want empaths to do that because I want you to be a conduit rather than a container. So when I do tarot readings, I work with a lot of juniper berry because it allows me to take in that information but not hold on to it to let it go as well. But I'll have to try Osmanthus over the next few nights and see if that makes me dream. One that I have discovered recently that you talked about in the throat chakra was cloves. Cloves seems to make me have more vivid dreams than normal.
Yeah, I can see what it's just like this huge surge of energy, isn't it, Chloe?
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right about the sort of juniper, celery seed, cypress, all of those are very good at cleaning the etheric bodies and just moving off the negative stuff that you're walking around with. And I agree with what you're saying, that you don't want people who are empaths to close down what they want, what they do. But people who are very empathic by nature, if you're not careful, if you don't learn to control how to switch it on, switch it off, you end up just walking around with everybody's energy. And there's a lot of very highly sensitive people. And actually, I don't know whether it's the same thing, but I see the overlap a lot in people who have autism, that it's overwhelming to absorb other people's energy. Juniper is absolutely fantastic for that. So is celery seed, so is cypress. Just being able to go, I'm just going to move what feels like static off, and just make it about me. I don't want, that's my stuff, that's your stuff, I always say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've been talking a lot about, opening up our receptivity to our intuition and to bringing that guidance in. But I find sometimes with the third eye chakra, there's an information overload, whether that be too much spiritual information, or I know I've had experiences where, the first day of a job, there was so much to learn that by the end of the day, trying to work out how to put more staples in a stapler became a little bit overwhelming. This is where I really like to work with different leaf oils, especially small leaf oils. And I find things like peppermint and spearmint and lemongrass can be really great. But one of my favorites is basil. And there's a bit of a saying about basil that helps put a scorpion in the mind. And I really love this analogy of how it really helps you to focus. So basil, therapeutically, we use, and I love to use basil and Tulsi, holy basil, for adrenal fatigue. And I find we tend to exhaust ourselves when there's too much going on, when we're trying to be everything to everyone and be everywhere at once. So basil physically will help us to settle down and narrow our attention and our focus on primarily what is important. And that will help with stopping that overload of energy going in through the third eye chakra and absorbing all that as well. To describe basil in another way, basil for me almost has the energy of lightning. And when you think about lightning coming down to earth, it doesn't kind of go, oh, where should I strike today? It's like, bang. It knows exactly where it's going. It's dedicated, it's devoted, it's potent. And I think if we need to, bring our mind, we've been talking about kind of almost opening the third eye chakra up. in this expansive way. If we need to kind of do the opposite and narrow it and become a bit tunnel vision for some reason, maybe you need to focus on a project, maybe you need to block out some of the excess information that's being thrown at you from all sides, then I would go for basil and work with that for really bringing that precision, that scorpionic, that passionate devotion, and that lightning focus into your life.
Yeah, I love sweet basil. To be clear as well, we're talking about sweet basil here, not holy basil. Holy basil has an entirely different vibration and would be useless for this, but excuse me. This is very much what I was talking about when I said that the third eye and the brow chakra seem to operate differently to me. And yeah, basil is all about brow chakra, logical. And it's really interesting, actually, when I was writing the book about basil, about sweet basil, I've written about sweet basil and holy basil, but sweet basil, there were so many references to scorpions and to snakes, and this is how it got its name, Ocimum basilicum, because it became associated with basilisks. That people believed that scorpions and snakes would develop from having basil in a compost heap. There was loads and loads of weird stuff about that. But I do think that the energy is absolutely bang on. And I always say it's like a sergeant major in Afghanistan. She dances on the table. She does not give a damn, and she will push you out the plane. She'll go, get out of your head. Just do it. She don't care that you don't want to jump out that plane. She will push you. It is one of my very favorite oils, but I would say it is absolutely the opposite to I want my third eye to work. It's I want to shut all of that stuff out and be completely logical, completely incisive. So yeah, I agree. Very much brow chakra, not third eye though.
I want to bring you back to a comment you made very early on in our conversation today. You said that you test the brow chakra and the third eye chakra different. Now, normally at the end of our videos, I like to share there's my pen using a pendulum to test your chakras, whether they're overactive, underactive, or balanced. But how do you tend to test the chakras in that context?
So I would do two different things. So the first is when I see a client, I will have them on the massage couch. I will use the pendulum, but I will actually go along their body and pick up where the energy catches the pendulum. So what you'll find is, well, first of all, they should be in line with the spinal column. They need to go through the spine. They need to vitalize the organs through the spine. So quite often you'll find that therapeutically they have shifted, and that is a problem. More so with some chakras than others. So, for example, the solar plexus, if that's not across the spine, then it's not vitalizing the digestive organs at all. It's out of line with the vagus nerve. So we want it to be on a straight line. And there's ways to manipulate them, which I'm not going to talk about on this video, but there is ways to manipulate them back into where they're supposed to be. And it's also pertinent to know that they can be like elastic bands. It's a bit like having your back manipulated by a chiropractor. It can be absolutely fantastic, and 2 days later the muscles have gone, yeah, but I liked it like that. And it shoves you back again. And that will happen with the chakras. So if you're working therapeutically on a client, you can expect to be working at least 6 weeks before you come back and you go, oh, it stayed where it's supposed to stay. And when I'm doing the dowsing over somebody's head, you can say, right, I want you to show me where the third eye chakra is. And you're not necessarily asking the pendulum to show you, because what will happen is actually as you go into the energy field takes it. But what you'll find quite often is when you come up and say, show me the brow chakra, you might find that it's quite a small vortex. And then when you say, show me the brow chakra, the third eye chakra, it's big. And quite often, I think, so two things going on here. The first is that you're seeing a personality of somebody and their character and the way that they work generally in life. So immediately you can make quite interesting distinctions. Okay, I kind of know the way to talk to this person. They've got a very active brow chakra and it's much bigger. Chances are they're going to respond to science better. But if you are seeing this much bigger as the third eye, then the intuitive side probably goes more, but you'll establish that through talking anyway. But also what you can do is I have like a chart. If you'd asked me, I would have shown you a chart that looks like, like a protractor that you get at school. And so I've got like at 90 degrees is 100%, and then we got 110, 115, 120 going through. And so like 100% is balance, but if it's working at like 70%, or is it working at 130%? And I'm able to see, right, okay, is that overactive, is that underactive, and how would I work with that? And interestingly, like we said, if somebody's got really overproducing on the brow chakra, and the chances are they feel very foggy, they feel confused, they feel like their thoughts on their own, we can therapeutically use energy to bring it down. But also I found the best way to do that is to push the energy of the brow chakra up, to get the logical side coming up. And that's why I think that they operate differently to one another, because I'm not looking to close one down, I'm looking to push the opposite energy up. And you don't see that in any of the other chakras. It's the only one I really notice that's happening, that we're not really talking about opening and closing. We are talking about that, but we're also talking about, I want to push the balance of one and pull the balance of the other, so that they kind of are closer to 100% on both.
Yeah, interesting. If people are looking for another way to check chakras as well, my book, Chakra Balancing with Nature's Gifts, looked at over 200 oils, and all the main chakras and the rarer ones like the Earth Star, Soul Star, Incarnator, and so on. And I actually go through the characteristics of a person that has an overactive heart chakra, third eye chakra, and an underactive, and you can kind of go, oh, I think that might be happening for that person as well. So we have lots of different ways of working out which we need. But remember that also essential oils work really well to bring the body back into homeostasis, back into balance, back into harmony. And so this is where we experiment with the essential oils and going to help to work out which one's going to work best for you and people you're working with in helping to balance their chakras as well. So any final thoughts on this chakra or energy center before we move on and get ready for our next episode next week, Liz?
Well, no. So like I say, I shall be talking a lot more about the brow chakra on my own channel in individual videos. So if people want to come have a look at that, and also know that my work, the sensorium approach, will be coming out in the next few weeks, where I will teach you all of these aspects of how to, can't use the word diagnose, but how to diagnose, how to work out which essential oil might be most helpful through the emotional body. So how you feel at the moment, your thoughts, your feelings. But then also I've got a process that says, right, okay, I've established what oil I'm thinking of using, and how do I check against the body that that's the right way. And in the sensorium approach, we have a biofeedback of says the body goes, yes, I agree with that one, or no, I don't. And that's very good at being able to say, okay, I'm happy with that decision, or no, I might need to revisit that again. So in the description, there is a link to sign up for the waitlist for the sensorium approach. It's a detailed piece of work, but I think anybody who is interested in doing work on their own chakras, but also integrating into their own therapeutic practice, will find it quite mind-blowing, because I don't think anybody's written any of this down, and I learned it 30 years ago and have built on 30 years of knowledge of it.
Amazing. Remember that if you do subscribe, we've got our links down below. We have newsletters. We have on my channel, I'll also be looking at different crystals that you can pair with essential oils for the third eye chakra as well. So we love to learn, and then we love to regurgitate and share that with you to help you on your spiritual journey as well. So make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to find all our future videos, and share it with someone who needs a bit of balance in the third eye chakra as well. We'll see you on next episode when we finish off this little chakra round with the crown chakra. Until then, take care and blessed be.
Bye-bye.
Whoa. One more thing before you go. Hopefully you got a little bit more excited about essential oils in this episode, and you may be running off to go buy some more. Now, before you do that, I want to talk to you about quality of essential oils. Did you know that around the world there is no regulation or governance about the labeling of essential oils? Anyone can call an essential oil pure, natural, organic, and it doesn't have to be. In fact, 75% of what's sold as lavender around the world is not even from the lavender plant. This can be ineffective in an oil, but it can also mean that the oil can be harmful for you, not only physically, but metaphysically, it's not going to work well either. So I went on a journey to find the best essential oils that I can trust, and I found doTERRA to be absolutely amazing. Not only do they test all their essential oils, but they have an independent third party test them at the end of their journey to make sure only in the bottle is what nature intended. However, if you want to get doTERRA essential oils, don't just jump on their website. Reach out to me and I'll give you a discount code so that you can get them at a cheaper price. But I don't just want you getting essential oils. I want you to learn how to use them each and every day for the body, mind, heart, and for the spirit as well. So when you become one of my customers, you get free access to a lifetime discount code. We have online portals where you can learn more, and we have giveaways and freebies and all different things like that. So I'd love you to join my wellness community. Simply click on the links below, and let's get started with you using real essential oils as nature intended.